Hey, Sasquatch Chronicle fans, this is Wes. Hey, on the 24th, I posted to the blog screams, witness reports, screams, rock throwing, and other strange events. And one of the researchers that went out there sent me a bunch of pictures, and I posted them to the website. But what I thought I'd do is get him on the phone and have him kind of explain the different pictures, give a little bit more meat to some of the evidence. Well, Trey, thanks for coming back on. I'm talking with Trey McAllister. He is the main researcher that went out to check this property out. And Trey, you got some good pictures. Do you want to tell us what was going on around the property before you actually went out to look around?
Well, the property owners, Beth and Brent, their name, had some possible rocks thrown at their house. They had heard some what they called screams. They didn't really get into what kind of screams. Heard some screams, and a couple of nights before I got there, I actually saw eye shine coming from the field next to theirs. They said it was actually kind of low on the ground and looking like it was raising up and then raising back down, and then they saw a second side of eye shine right behind it, and that's kind of what led me over to that area. Is I was actually over there trying to get a height for Beth so she could see how tall the subject was that she saw eye shine on.
You went out, was it the next day, and took a look around?
Well, it wasn't the very next day. No, it was a few days after. I'm not sure exactly how long. Not quite a week after that they saw the eye shine there. They get quite, vocals and stuff quite frequently up that way.
Well, and then tell me about some of these photos. Do you want to start with the footprints first, or do you want to start with? You tell me where you'd like to start.
The footprints. Like I said, I went over to where they thought they saw the eye shine. Beth and her husband both have had surgeries and had trouble getting over the fence and stuff. So, being a little bit younger and better shape, I jumped over there and went over there and got my hat actually on top of my shotgun and was raising it up and just trying to judge the height. And when I got to where Beth told me to stand, I noticed, it's disturbed all around there. It wasn't like that walking into the field, but where I was at, the grass was all disturbed because it was up to about my knees. You could tell something had definitely been there. And so they lined me up, and I'm going up and down. It's about here. Yeah, it's about there. Come up to about 8.5 feet where they thought the eye shine was at. So that wouldn't, I guess, even be the top of the head. And after we do that, I'm kind of looking down on the ground, and I see what looks kind of like a footprint. And so I radio on the walkie-talkie, and I tell them, and they're all going crazy over there because that's where they saw something. Sure enough, there's a footprint on the ground. I go back over to the fence because her husband now at this point, he's getting over that fence no matter what. It's just a little 4-strand fence. And actually in the process of holding it down, I broke the top strand off of it. So it became a 3-strand fence. And her husband come over there to check it out, and he actually found another footprint not far behind that. There's kind of a tree line right there. And I guess maybe at some point there was a fence there. It's kind of what it looks like. It's just 2 fields with like a line of trees to the middle, basically. But big disturbance and footprints, and you can see the pictures with the tape measure we've got out. That's the footprints we found. That's where we found them out, where they saw that eye shine at.
Did you just see the one footprint?
There was 2 footprints, but there were other ones. It was really all it was over there was tall grass, except for in a few places. So there was places that looked like they had been walked on, not necessarily a trail, but had been trampled over, kind of like the trail that I made getting into the field is kind of what they look like. But there weren't any. Those were the ones you had the pictures of are the best, the most discernible ones.
And let me ask you about the footprints. Now, did it rain recently?
It had actually been storming all week, yeah. And it stormed that day and it stormed that night as well.
Yeah, the reason why I ask, I know a lot of questions have come up about the footprints, about why does it look like, all of the pine needles. Why does it look like all the pine needles are separated
Yeah.
from there? And anyone that knows pine needles, when it's wet and you step on it, pine needles are actually sticky.
Exactly.
And so you'll lift up all of the stuff off the ground. And so the footprints really, I don't know why the footprints are brought into so much question. I actually think the footprints look pretty good. You can tell the ground's hard.
Yeah, it was very hard.
So,
they weren't deep enough to cast, but I mean they stuck out like a sore thumb. I mean, especially with everything surrounding them, you know, and them being right there in the middle of that little trail. I want to keep calling it a trail. It's not really a trail. It's just kind of, you know, the grass was matted down in a direction. We took pictures of all those, and I got, you know, I was trying to figure out which way they're coming, which way they're going, and just kind of follow the trail up, and I see that it's leading to the other fence, which I showed the picture. I have the 6-strand barbed wire fence is headed up that way. And so her husband and I start making our way up the hill. You know, I'm kind of helping him. He's got a bandage on his leg. I'm not sure exactly what he had, but he had a bandage on his leg with a pretty big wound on it. So I'm trying to help him get through there because he's just excited as I'll get out, you know, but really not able to do it. So we're walking and going up through there, and we come up to the fence, to this one section of the fence, and right there in front of it, I mean, you couldn't miss it. It was on almost every strand that there was hair coming off the fence. You know, just plain as day. I mean, just about every one of the barbs right there in that one section had at least a strand of hair on it. Some had multiple strands.
And the hair is very interesting. You know, I've seen hair like this before. I had Jamie on from Australia, and the hair that you have in the bag looks almost identical to the hair that he found. It was very stringy. Well, I'll let you describe it. You describe what the hair looks like. It looks like you got a lot of it.
Yeah, there's probably 30 to 40 hairs that I just collected, and I didn't even get all the hair off the fence. There's still hair up on the fence as we speak. But for the most part, most of them, they're about between 6 and 8 inches long. They're I want to say coarse. They're real coarse. On one end, I'm supposing it's the root end, the one closer to the skin, because it actually does have a follicle still attached to it. It's a black color. If you follow it down a few inches, it turns to a reddish-brown color. And then when you get to about the last inch or an inch and a half, it's a gray, almost like a white, kind of like the hair was tipped or something. That's what it looked like.
How did you collect the hair?
Well, when I first started doing this a year ago, I made my little bag that I carry with me everywhere I go. You know, all this stuff. Never thought I would really need any of this stuff. You know, I got the plaster cast. I got, you know, the survival knife with me. And I've also got a bag with a bunch of Ziploc baggies and latex gloves in there, just in my bag. So at that point, when I saw the hair, I stopped dead in my tracks. Her husband, Brent, come on, look at this, look at this. Oh my God, it's hair. So I get on the walkie and call Beth and say, Beth, can you meet me at the fence? You know, of course I didn't carry my big backpack up there, but this is just 150 yards from their house. I said, meet me at the fence with my latex gloves. He's got a crap load of hair up here stuck on this fence like I've never seen before. So she gets all excited. I there and meet her at the fence, get my gloves and stuff, and at this point Beth's wanting to come up there, so I wound up breaking the fence a little bit more. They're probably not gonna like me for that, but she got to come up there and she seen the prints, and then she walked up the trail and she got to see the hair, and I just started grabbing and putting it in bags, and then I got 5 or 6 different bags. I let Beth keep some of them, and I'd say between us, we've got 40 or 50 hairs, I would say. Like I said, some of them do have follicles still attached, and if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure that's where most of the DNA is at, correct?
Yeah, it should be in those in the skin. And when you collected them, you used gloves and everything, right?
Oh, yeah. I had gloves on, whole 9 yards. In fact, Beth even got pictures of me, I think, taking the hairs off with gloves and everything. they never touched the hairs. They went straight into a plastic bag or a Ziploc bag. And when I got them home, I've since taken them and put them in an envelope because I heard that's the best way to actually store them. But
now, with regard to the tree twists, I know I've seen a lot of good tree twists you sent me. Where did you find those in comparison to the footprints and to the hair?
The one tree twist, I got it wrong with you the other day. The one tree twist picture that you can actually see my shotgun leaning up against a tree, that one was closer to the ground. But that was right there where they had saw the eye shine at. It was on the ground where we found the very first footprints. The second break, it's not a twist. The second one's a break. It's just straight down. The dog's barking. The second one is not a twist. It's just a straight down break. But there was a picture that I'm not sure if I sent you or not. I may have. But the top of that tree, about 9 feet up, the top of the rest of that tree was completely gone. And there was a limb broke, I'd say about 7 feet off the ground, a little bit above my head. But from 9 feet up, the whole tree had been broken off. And I saw that from across the fence. And across the fence was not their property, but, I mean, after we found footprints, we walked through the trail, we found the hair, I see breaks. I told Brent, I was like, sorry, dude, I got to get over that fence. I want to go see what's over there. And Brent, we had also thought on the way up there that we saw a giant X formation, but that turned out to just be a natural tree fall. But, yeah, after I saw that second break, the one that broke straight down, I was like, I got to go through this fence. Of course, I couldn't go over that fence because it's 4.5, 5 feet tall. And what's interesting to know is it was kind of uphill where the barbs were that had the hair on it. Was kind of the uphill angle. And there was a footprint on our side of the fence parallel with the fence. Almost like something had stepped over the fence right there where all the hair is at, and there's another possible footprint.
Have the witnesses that live on the property, have they actually seen the creatures? Or is it mainly just eye shine and vocalizations is what they're hearing?
They've heard vocalizations. I don't think they've actually seen anything except the eye shine. To my knowledge, anyways. And I didn't see anything. I actually went back out to that tree line at night that night just to see what happened, and to no avail. There wasn't anything out there, or if there was, it didn't let me know.
Now, you took the hairs to a veterinarian. What did the vet say?
Well, this was kind of a favor of a favor. Friend of the family, I guess you'd say. He didn't have very much time to look at it, but he made him put gloves on. I didn't tell him what it was for. I told him that a friend of our family, or a friend of my family, my fiance's family is what I was telling him, was having a problem with something getting into their farm. And it left this hair on the fence. What is it? What are we up against here? And he looked at it, and he couldn't readily identify. I mean, granted, he's just looking at it, but he said he'd never seen no hair like that before. He's not a hair expert or anything. He's just a regular vet. But he said, "Do you mind if I take it in my office and take a closer look?" I said, "That's fine." I didn't get to go in there with him. So I'm assuming he took it and looked under a microscope or something, but I wasn't in there to actually see him do that. And he came back out and had it in the envelope he had back to me. And he said, "Yeah," he said, "that's weird." He said, "I can't readily tell you what it is without looking into it deeper." He said, "Even the medulla, is that what it's called, the medulla?"
Yep.
Yeah, he said, "Even the medulla looks weird on that." And I guess without him having something to compare it to, he couldn't tell me what it was from. But he also noticed the different colors to the hair too, and thought that was weird.
Yeah, that is interesting. Well, keep me up to date. I know it sounds like there's a lot going on around that property. I mean, you got some great evidence, I think, and I know you're taking heat for it. Don't let that get to you. They'll crucify you for anything out there. At least the guys that sit behind their computers, they'll crucify you for anything out there. So don't let it get to you. But great job on collecting evidence, man.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Great job on it.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. And like I told you the other day, I wish I could say I've been doing this for years and years and years, but, you know, I just kind of looked up and got with the right people, you know, and they've helped me out a whole lot. And I basically just got lucky, to be honest with you, but I was prepared, that was for sure, at least.
Yeah, no, you did a great job, and I think the hairs really are, I'm intrigued by them.
Yeah, I would like I would like to get them tested, man. I mean, I really would, but, you know, I don't have thousands of dollars laying around to get a hair test on, which I did, but, you know, I mean, anybody else wants to donate and do a free DNA test, I mean, I kind of actually like to have somebody test them that doesn't have anything to do with Bigfoot at all, you know?
Let me do some digging around. Let me see if I can find anything on it.
Yeah,
and
man, if you find somebody, I've got plenty. If they screw up, I got another one they can have. There's 30 or 40 hairs in me. And I'm sure that those will be on the fence for a while, too, so they want to collect some for their own.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, perfect, man.
All right.
Thanks for coming on. I appreciate you.
Thanks for having me, man. I love the show. Keep up the good work.
Yeah, thanks, brother.
All right, man. Take it easy.